YouTube, this is Dawn from hzscribe. How you guys doing today? And I am here with another weekly Bible sketch. We just did the one on the book of Numbers, so I am going to do something a little bit past that. Don't know what yet, but anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I may be off a week because I'm going on vacation, so this week should be out, and I'll double up on 1 week whenever that is to catch up. So I will make sure I have one for every week. Well, I'm still behind because I started on, my first one was on the 20th. But my goal is to get 52 in before the year is over with. And I think this holds 50, so I at least want to finish this before the year is out. So anyway, I am going to do another one for the book of Numbers, another overview one, I think. Yeah, kind of how the book is divided. So I'm going to put it on fast forward, and you can see the process, and I will be right back. Alrighty, so I'm done. This was a good one for me because I learned a lot myself. I knew the book, but didn't organize it this way in my mind, so it was very helpful for me. But today's date is the 17th. I think it's the 17th. Alright. Yep, it's the 17th. So anyway, so when you look at Numbers, we can divide it into 3 sections, or 3 phases, or 3 things: human rebellion, divine punishment, and divine provision. So a lot of things happened that they complained about, and this is true when people have been through slavery. We can see it today. If you've been through slavery, there's certain things that, you know, it conditions your mind, you know, and it limits your thoughts. So it is so hard. And when you know, we don't even think we in bondage to things. But prime example, what has happened in the last year, all the events. You realize all the comforts and the things that you really enjoy about the system that we live in, and then when those things are taken away or limited or restricted for whatever reason, you realize how much you depend on that system that you thought you were separate from. So even in that, you say, oh, I wish I could, I wish I could, I wish I could. Well, that's what they did. We always think we're different than the Israelites, but they lusted after Egypt. They lusted after the food. They lusted after, you know, all of that good life, the water and all that kind of stuff. They're necessities, but we lust after things. When we were prevented from going out, we want, oh, I need to get my nails done, my hair done, manicure, pedicure, eyebrows. I need to go out to eat. I need to socialize. And you realize when you put those things in perspective, that's lusting for the old system. You know, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's bad or wrong or whatever. I'm just saying you need to think about that. We do some of the same things that we see them do. We don't make the connection that we do the same things. We lust for things that we want. And they had a lust spirit. And then we see complaining spirit. They complained. Miriam and Aaron complained about Moses' new wife. So that was, they complained against him, the man of God. Then we see we had the 12 spies, and 10 of them were walking in fear and rebellion to God because, you know, they told them it was about the land, and only 2, Joshua and Caleb, had a different spirit about them. Excuse me. So they left out the water, meat, melons, garlic, fish, onions. And then right here we had rebellion. So Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, I guess they thought they were going to be, you know, only Levites, and came up against Moses and Aaron. So these are just some of the rebellions that we saw, and it was constant in the book of Numbers. And Numbers and Exodus have a lot of parallels. And then we see God's divine punishment, you know, and this is my little wondering line, because he had to wonder for 40 years. That was a punishment. He brought fire. Miriam had leprosy. We saw plagues. We saw a whole generation get killed off for their mumbling and complaining. We saw the uprising of Korah, Dathan and Abram, and the earth opened up and swallowed them up. They put their name here: Korah, Dathan, and Abram. So we see the snakes. And finally, the thing about leadership, Miriam and Aaron died, and Moses, you know, he was able to look over there and see the promised land, but because he misspoke for God and struck that rock twice and showed that anger that wasn't said he misrepresented God to the people out of his frustration. I'm glad I wasn't Moses, because boy, if I had to deal with that multitude of people, can you imagine though? Constantly they whining, you trying to get to the other side, and they're constantly whining. So that was a hard job for Moses, but he still did not do what God told him to do. He misspoke, and so because of that, we see Moses not being able to enter the promised land. So I'm just going to color this down here. So, you know, we always think about God's punishment as something bad, and people don't even want to tell people when they evangelize or witnessing that God does bring punishment. God does bring plagues. God does bring, you know, natural disasters as a form of punishment. We are afraid to say that God does that, but he does, because we only want to say God is love. God is love, but love also punishes. And he says, those he love, he chastises. So, and if you don't, you're a bastard. So we do need to want to, you know, be corrected by God so that we can grow. Without correction, there's no growth. So then we come over here to God's provision. You know, we don't want to get stopped there thinking that God only punishes. No, because in his punishment, there's always mercy and grace. Really, it is, and we don't see it at the time. I'm speaking to myself now, and you know, the other bodies. I'm not throwing any rocks. I'm just saying this human nature. This is what we do as humans. We don't want to take full accountability of some of the things that we do, and we want to whine about things that happen to us, you know. And but sometimes we bring those things upon us. But God gave them more, but they wanted more. God gave them meat. He gave them quail. God gave them manna. So he gave them food, but it wasn't what they wanted. And we all been there. We've gotten something, but we wanted something else. It wasn't the way we wanted it, or how much we wanted, or when we wanted it. All of those things. But we do have provision. And direction, he gave them correction, and he gave them leadership, so those arrows, which way to go. When when Balak asked Balaam to curse, he said, I can't curse what God blessed. And he even hinted at the Messiah coming. If you read the blessings, you know, 40 years to wander, to get that old mentality broken off of them. That was grace, time, and mercy right there. 40 years. And during that 40 years, they had all the provision, man. They didn't need any shoes. They had everything taken care of. They had food, water, shelter, everything. Even though it was being led by God. And then we had this bronze serpent when he sent the snakes. We had this bronze serpent right here they could gaze upon to stop that plague. You know. So they had that for healing when it was going through. The children of the old generation, the new children, their children get to inherit it. And you know, sometimes as a parent, things I want in my life, but I pray that my kids get it if I can't have it. And I'm not just talking about material things. I'm talking about wisdom and health and prosperity of their soul and their mind. You know, I pray that my children have those things. You know, people always think, oh, I want my children to have more than me, material things. No, I want them to have the wealth of the spiritual relationship with God, that intimate relationship. When I say spiritual, I mean they know that they are created in the image of God. Not that they're God. They're created in His image, and that they're His child, and they need to follow Him. And His highest priority on earth is to get saved. That's what I want them to know. And to have a relationship with Him, to seek Him and honor Him always. So Joshua and Caleb, they get to go in because they were rewarded for being over here standing against that fear, and they had faith, so they got rewarded for it. They got the promised land. They got to enter into a land filled with milk and honey. God gave them a fence around them of protection so that other nations couldn't hurt them. Moses was on the mountaintop. He got to see it. He didn't get to go in, but he at least got to see it. So this was a very interesting study for me because I have never looked at numbers this way. So it was good doing this and breaking it down and really looking at how this book is constructed and what they went through. So it gave me a better understanding of numbers. So yeah, this I found very informative when I looked at it this way. Kind of almost remind me of the book of Judges. But anyway, so thanks for liking, watching, and subscribing. And I dare you to dive into the Word. Take care, God bless, bye-bye.